Hello gamers, my name is Duma and welcome to the Game Room. Buckle up Dragonknight enjoyers, I got a banger of a build for you today. I wanted to make an unkillable one-bar, dual-wield berserker, kind of a mix between a gladiator and a Lord of the Rings Uruk-hai. I know, I can hear it. We're reaching peak nerd levels here, but just follow me for a minute. If you've ever played League of Legends and are familiar with a full lifesteal Olaf and the craziness he can pull off when fed, that was kind of the idea. And look at this. This is my St. Lothis trial boss test and the 12-man trial Asylum Sanctorium to see if the build gets the immortal tag for the channel with the requirements of being able to clear the boss in about 10 minutes or less with no survivability or sustain issues. Check out the skills on the bar. Something should be jumping out at you. Yep, there are 0 actual heals on the bar. None. You just outmuscle everything with insane life stealing and shielding and are able to knock down everything that's meant to be soloed with ease, all with 1 bar. Things like Veteran Vateshran were a complete snooze. If you're looking for a fun off-meta 1-bar solo build that destroys veteran arenas and you enjoy DKs, this is the one for you. Even better, this uses no scribing skills, so there's no DLC barrier to access there, and both sets can be bought on traders. You can also make a small handful of changes to make this a powerhouse of a group dungeon build as well. On my next stream after posting this video, I'll be playtesting that for everyone to see, as well as doing a Veteran Vateshran tutorial run on the build to help anyone out still trying to get their first clear or Spirit Slayer titles. I also have the written guide up and available for you now over at thegameroom.tv. Let's go. For this build, I went with Orc for the visual theme, plus the passives fit perfectly, giving us more health, stamina, weapon damage, healing, and movement speed. The Orc race legit checks every box of the Berserker build. Realistically though, any stamina-oriented race is fine. We're gonna put all 64 attribute points into stamina. We'll be using the Lover Mundus with the Artaeum takeaway food for consumables, coupled with tripods. For our gear, first we're using the Savara Scales set. This has among the best proc condition in the game of just simply doing damage. Any damage, including your already ticking dots. So you're mostly guaranteed procs on cooldown. And it does a poison splash that adds a poison dot to everything it hits. Poison damage is an important element to the Dragonknight class, especially stamina-oriented builds due to the combustion passive, which increases the poison status effect damage applied by poison damage by 40%. And every 3 seconds you apply the poison status effect, you restore stamina, helping with sustain. The same goes for the burning effect and Magicka sustain. So when you're poisoning everything around you all of the time, you're capitalizing on this aspect of the passive, especially when you're running around doing mechanics and not light weaving into targets. As you can see here on the St. Lothis trial boss solo and the final boss of Veteran Vateshran, both Savara's and the poison status effect are notable portions of the damage together, although the poison status effect was also being contributed by one of our weapon enchants. The next set we'll be using is one of the best shield sets in the game of Hexos Ward, constantly proccing huge damage shields, floating us through tons of damage. We put them together like this. Hexos is a medium set and Savara's comes in all 3 weights, and if you end up with any body pieces, you want them in medium as well. Since we're using both medium sets, any piece can go anywhere as long as your 5 sets are active. We're actually running 7 medium here for maximum weapon damage to juice the Savara's tooltip, along with juicing stamina sustain. I dodge roll a lot, so this works for me, but if you wanted very slightly better stats, you can run a light helm for a bit more crit and pin. You want your helm to be any monster set that has a line of penetration, like Krog's here, and then we're using Oaken Soul and double daggers. All divine traits on the body armor pieces. You can run the enchants as max stamina and be fine for most things, but for super sweaty stuff, Try Enchant is going to be just a little better since we aren't resisting damage but healing through it. So having a bit higher health value helps in tense situations. We want all infused traits on the jewelry. Try to make these infused if you can rather than robust, as it will affect Savara's output. And then enchant all 3 pieces with the increased physical harm glyph. For our daggers, we want 1 Nirnhoned and 1 charged with the poison and flame enchants. These 2 traits here are fairly important, with Nirnhond's weapon damage increase juicing everything including Savara's, and charged helping us spread our status effects as we bleed out enemies with tons of dots. Side note here, make sure your Nirnhoned dagger is on your main hand for its trait benefit. CP is here for you as well, mostly standard stuff, but 2 notes here is Reaving Blows. Reaving Blows will affect every damage ability on our bars to varying degrees and end up having very notable percentage of self heals. And then we have Bastion, which juices the shielding of our Hexo set and one of our abilities. These 2 together equate to a ton of defensive strength of the build. First up for abilities, we have Flames of Oblivion. This shoots out 3 fireballs every 5 seconds, and this is one of your greatest damage sources. As you can see here in the final fight of Vateshran, it's the number 2 damage source, so very significant. If you have 2 to 3 mobs around you, this also makes a fantastic fantastic off-resource spammable in a pinch if you find yourself totally gassed with stam and need a bit of quick damage to burn down mobs. All 3 fireballs also heal you from the Reaving Blows CP. Next, we have Fragmented Shield. I'm going to come back to this one last. It will make more sense on its use then. Next is our dual-wield spammable Bloodthirst, which attacks an enemy in front of you 4 times, healing you for a percentage of the damage done. Each hit also triggers the Reaving Blows CP as well. So, if you are only pressing this one single button and light weaving it, you're getting the heal from Bloodthirsty, the Reaving Blows secondary heal from all 4 hits, and then the light attack Reaving Blows heal. Every single global, you get all of these. Just light weaving one button ends up doing crazy healing, even if you light weave very poorly or are still learning. But still try to light weave as well as you can because it does affect various elements of the build that are important. Next is Burning Embers. You apply this to everything you can touch that your magic allows, and it places a long-lasting flame dot on them for 24 seconds, healing you for 110% of its damage for every mob you apply it to. So you can spread this on multiple targets and then basically fall asleep and still be floated through with heals. This is the healing with just 3 targets dotted here with this one ability. The initial hit from it as well can also result in a sizable heal, upwards to 9k crits on this setup. Next, we have Noxious Breath, which is the iconic DK breath, blasting everything in front of you with poison damage, a long-lasting poison dot, and the important debuff of Major Breach. You want this on everything you're fighting. It can also be used in short windows for an AoE spammable to burn down trash mob groups. So let's apply all this so far to 3 mobs and look at the damage. Load up Flames of Oblivion, get Noxious Breath out, then get Burning Embers on the targets, and look at this crazy dot pressure, healing, and then Savara's is the gift that keeps on giving, proccing continuously off of our already existing damage. And we're not even using one of our main damage and healing sources of Bloodthirst yet. Let's look at all that together with Bloodthirst now. Straight up God of War mode right now, and we aren't even done yet. Our ultimate when we get real pissed off is Magma Shell, legitimately making us immortal as it limits incoming damage sources to only 3% of our health while also dealing flame damage to enemies. Think of this as your Berserker Rage I win go hard button. We use this morph because we can build ultimate while it's active, so you can come out of the ulti at times with 25% of the next ulti already built up. Basically getting pre-pissed off for the next thing while already pissed off at the current thing. You also need to be aware of the Earth and Heart Battle Roar passive, which is critical for DK sustain. The TLDR here is when you ult, you restore health, stam, and mag. Use it often and you'll watch your resources constantly jump to full. Part of the DK sustain balance is factored here, so don't sit on it forever. Use it often. Finally, let's look at Fragmented Shield. This is doing a lot more for us than what the tooltip is telling you. First, let's look at it. This gives us a baby shield on use, boosted a bit by Bastion, but more importantly, giving us major mending for 8 seconds, increasing healing by 16%, which is a ton. So you get all that crazy healing with the build, then you hit this and boom, Blood Rage God of War mode, 16% more healing added to all that craziness. Now let's look at passives in the tree. First, its use is going to give us the super rare buff of Minor Brutality, giving us 10% more weapon damage. This means all of your abilities go harder, you heal for more, and Savara's tooltip gets larger. With this identical setup, after this buff is applied, it juices Savara's dot to about 11.5k. Now let's look at the Helping Hands passives that says we restore 1,120 stamina when using an ability from this tree with a cost. You're going to be using your Bloodthirst spammable 90% of the time, putting a heavy strain on your stamina along with various combat functions like sprinting and dodge rolling and blocking and whatnot. But with regular uses of this ability, getting this passive, not only are you juicing all of your damage and healing from Minor Brutality, but you're also getting small bumps of stamina back as well. In between frag shield uses, ultimate use, and popping tripods on cooldown, you'll have unlimited sustain, and this was playtested by fighting St. Lothus solo for 10 minutes with no issues. Every time you think your resources are about to bottom out, ulti or tripods come up, bouncing them back to full, and frag shield uses help you float through in between them with this passive. You'll have to feel out the flow though. You can't spam it, and you also can't just not use it, or at least you shouldn't. You'll have to find that sweet spot that works best for you and your playstyle. A side fun thing that you can do is if you want to get real crazy with it and you don't need Major Breach, is you can add the dual wield skill Blood Craze, which applies a long-lasting bleed to the target, healing you for the duration. So you can double tap mobs with Embers and Blood Craze and then just walk away and go to make a sandwich, and you should still be alive when you get back. But that's kind of like putting a hat on a hat at this point, and you'll be losing Major Breach, but it's still something fun to play around with if the concept interests you. And that's it, gamers. It's that easy. This one is fun to play. I'll leave you with a bit of gameplay so you can see it in action, and don't forget to come check out Twitch where I'll be playtesting this for group dungeons, as well as doing a veteran Vateshran tutorial stream with it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see if I can help you out. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.